Hi, everybody. Are you looking for some free science fiction and fantasy books to get you through this weekend? We've got them. And this week, it's all about magical love, dragon love, and fairy tale love. But before we get to that, hi, everybody. My name is Maria KOROLOV. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar, which is an online magazine of science fiction and fantasy. We publish free science fiction, short stories, and fantasy short stories, and horror short stories on our website every single week. And we're serializing a fantastic novel right now. So today I was helped out by editors E.S. Foster and Christina Brown with the reviews. And hi, Emma. Thanks for
Hi.
being me here today. So Amazon has a list of free ebooks that also has a bestseller list to go with it. And it's kind of hidden deep in the website, but the link to it is in the description box below, as is the link to the full review article and to all the books. So let's get into it with book number 5. We're going to count down to book number 1. And in honor of the love theme, I've got a little pink background back there. Okay, so Fenrir by Demelza Carlton is the first of 5 books in the Heart of Ice series of romantic fantasy. The other books are $3 to $7 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited is where you pay $12 a month and you read all the books you want, kind of like a Netflix for books. So this book series is not in Kindle Unlimited. You'd have to pay full price for them. And the author is a USA Today best-selling author, and she has been on our Free Friday list many, many times. People love her book. So my standard disclaimer, it's all about love. There's a sexy guy on the cover. I'm not into that. And I prefer murder, mayhem, violence. So yeah. You've heard me talk about it before, and since I have to read the book anyway, I'm going to tell you what it is about. And that sounds like a really stupid thing to say, and I probably should edit it out when I'm editing, because I'm editing.
That's no big deal.
We're editing this week, so we figured out how to edit videos. Yay!
We finally did.
So if you see weirdnesses with the layout, weirdnesses with the cuts and all this other things, that's because we're editing for the first time. Okay, so the book opens with Fenrir from the title, who's promised Astrid's father that he would protect her. This is kind of a medieval Nordic world. And he's now acting as her guard. He brings her firewood. He tells her stories. And Astrid is kept out of sight for her own protection because she might get kidnapped. But she begs Fenrir to take him to let her walk on the beach. And while everyone's off at a feast, they sneak off to the beach because they can think they can go and then come back before anybody knows they're gone. And while on the beach, they're by themselves, they have a little kiss, and then they see dozens of boats gliding in, and Fenrir can't fight hundreds of men at once and win, so the two of them hide. And there's a battle. The invaders' sneak attack is unsuccessful, but Fenrir is accused of trying to steal Astrid away during the battle. And he tries to tell her dad that he was only trying to protect her, and then he pledges his entire life to protecting her, and a witch turns him into Wolfman and has Astrid cut out his heart in order to bind him to her forever. And then later, to escape marriage to someone who has a habit of killing the woman he's with, Astrid joins Fenrir under this curse, and the two of them sleep under the witch's spell. And because normally, like, he sleeps during the day or something. Not quite clear. This section moves really, really quickly. And so they both go to sleep, and when they wake up, they think they're still in the olden days, but they're not. They're in the modern world. And that was the first 8 chapters of the book. The chapters are short. They move quickly. I do have to say I'm kind of interested in how they do in the modern world. I'm maybe 25% chance that I'll continue with the book. Okay, next, another book about love and magic, and also witches, Wicked Moons by Ruby Raine. This is the first of 4 books in the Wicked Good Witches, a paranormal urban fantasy series. The other books are $4 each, and again, they're not in Kindle Unlimited. The author has been on our Free Friday list before. Also, if you like her style, all 3 of her completed Steamy Witch series, 10 books in total, are currently available as a single set for $9.99. So Christina Brown read this for us, but Emma, you're going to tell us what you thought of the book.
Yeah, so I'm reading Christina's review, and she says that the story focuses on these 3 sibling witches. It's their duty to protect the community, keep their magic safe, and they're living in this mansion on this place called Demon Isle, which already sounds really cool. So one half is werewolf, trying to keep the family together, and the sister's riddled with anxiety, her desire for her vampire friend. So, all the usual love stuff that we've been talking about, going with the theme here. And one of the brothers is ready to ditch town because he wants a real life. And also, according to Christina, he's super sexy and everyone's in love with him, and it's very annoying. So, I don't have that problem. The story shifts point of view a lot, and it seems to follow these 3 siblings equally. Michael, the younger of the 2 brothers, he's an empath. He also has the ability to read death. He lays his hand on a body, and he can tell how they've died. Except for this time, because he is about to do this again. In his vision, he sees his mother is potentially involved with this person's death, but she's been dead for a number of years. She says that this is an interesting story. It's got a bit of like that practical magic vibe, but it feels like an old enchanted mansion type story in like a quaint town. The shifting point of view is kind of hard to follow, she says. And she says she's having a hard time finding a character she wants to stick around with. So she might give this one a few more pages to see where it goes, but I'm not sure.
So what do you think? Is this the kind of book you would read?
I don't know, like with different multiple main characters, it's always a toss-up because I feel like if you go over 2, there's always the potential to it just becoming a very difficult thing to follow and it becomes unnecessarily dense that way. I feel like 2, you can kind of do it a right way or a wrong way. But this one, I'm not actually really sure how many siblings there are. It looks like there's at least 3. And I'm like, that might be a little bit too much for me. Not like I couldn't handle it, but more like, oh, this is going to require a lot of brain power to get through just to remember who everyone is.
Right. Yeah, I like the practical magic aspects of it.
Yeah.
And I do it seems to for me it reminds me a bit of the show Charmed, where it
Oh,
has
yeah,
like
yeah.
the 3 witches living in a mansion, and I do love that show. So even though there was a romance in it, it was mostly like mystery and action and the interaction between the sisters and stuff. So I did enjoy that.
Yeah. Like, I want to live in a mansion on a place called Demon Isle. It sounds very secluded and mysterious.
All right, next is another paranormal romance. It's called A Tempest of Discovery by Sarah M. Cradit, the first of 4 books in the Midnight Dynasty paranormal romance series. The other books are $5 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And the author has been on our list before. In fact, this is the 2nd time in a row we're doing this book. And so this particular series is related to another series by the same author, the 12-book series, The House of Crimson and Clover, which the first book of which is also free today. I just double checked. So if you like this author, definitely pick up that other book as well. So there's a lot of characters in this book, which I'm with you. When there's too many characters, I have a really hard time keeping track of what's going on. And it actually has a family tree diagram at the beginning of the book, which I saw that and I was like, no, that's if it takes a diagram, that's too many people. That's too many people. I have a really hard time with names.
Tolkien
Um,
could do it, but sometimes it's a toss-up as to who else could do it.
yeah. So it's based in New Orleans. There's a family of witches and wizards, and one of the people in the family is Nicholas, and he was kind of a bad boy, and now he wants to grow up and show that he's not afraid of commitment or family, and that he's changed. And there's an aunt, and she sends him off to do an investigation of another witch family, and he's paired up with a woman he's in love with, who just thinks of him as the idiot that he used to be. And there's a whole bunch of backstory about this family. Then in the next chapter, we switch to the point of view of Charlotte, um, who's also related to Aunt Colleen, and she also has an assignment from her, and she has to go to Paris with someone with with Julian, who's a guy who she's in love with, but who's young, sweet, and too innocent for an assignment like this. And they have to also investigate somebody. And so there's more backstory. Then we switch to the point of view of yet another character, Lauren, who's teamed up with Nicholas. And there's a whole bunch more family drama. And there are just way too many potential romantic couples for me to keep track of. There's way too much family backstory. And the actual plot seems to be secondary. It's not really clear why they're investigating anybody. So, but I understand that a lot of people do love these kind of convoluted family drama things because, you know, humans are into like families and relationships and all that mushy stuff. So people love that. So if you like that kind of thing, kind of soap opera with a lot of politics and some danger and some magic and a lot of love stories, and a lot of people do, a lot of people love this, then check out this book, and it is free today. And I can't guarantee how long it will stay free, although it has been free for 2 weeks in a row. So good on you, author Sarah. Normally, publishers and authors make these books free as a promotion for just a few days as a way to get you to read like the rest of the series, and then they take them out of the free, and the sale ends. So I don't think I've rarely seen a sale last more than 3 or 4 days. So I'm really surprised that these books are still free after a week. I don't know how much longer it's going to last, so definitely grab them.
Yeah, there are like multiple reviews that we've done where they've been free for longer than just the week.
Right, but
Surprising.
it's very, very rare. And this week, it's like 3 books in a row that
Yeah,
are
it's
left
almost
over
like
from the
there's an
previous week.
author promotion thing going on.
Yeah, maybe, or Amazon changed its rules or something, or I
Yeah.
don't know. But none of these books are in Kindle Unlimited. So if you're an author and you put your book into Kindle Unlimited, Amazon gives you an option to make the books free for 5 days for out of every 3 months. So as a way of promoting the book series. So a lot of Kindle Unlimited authors take advantage of that to promote their book. And that's 5 days over the course of 3 months. So this is a very short time period. But these books are not on Kindle Unlimited, so they have
Yeah,
some
that's
other thing
weird.
going on. Yeah, who knows? But I'm all for it if it gets us free books longer. Okay, number 2 on today's list is another love story, The Dragon of New Orleans by Genevieve Jack. First book in the 10-book series, The Treasure of Paragon, by a New York Times best-selling author. So you know this is going to be extremely readable. The other books are $5 each. And again, they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And again, this book is left over from last week. And it's about Gabriel, who's an immortal dragon, or he used to be immortal. A voodoo curse is making him sick. And Ravenna is in a hospice dying of brain cancer. And she's just happy she can donate her organs. She's already half paralyzed and on a morphine drip. She's had a chemo, she's had the surgeries. This is the end. And then Death himself shows up, or at least a guy shows up and stops time. The IV stops dripping, the clock stops ticking, and Ravena's like, okay, this is death coming for me. But she's kind of surprised by how sexy Death is. Dark, brooding, scruffy, and judging by the book cover, and her description of him, I'm thinking he looks a lot like Tom Ellis in the TV show Lucifer. So, I love that show. I really, really love that show. Anyway, so the visitor is, of course, Gabriel, our other protagonist. He saw an old newspaper article where Ravina had a premonition of a fire, and saved her parents' business and their lives, and he thinks she's a psychic. And so we switch to his point of view. He's shocked by how awful she looks. Nothing at all like her picture in the newspaper. But she can be useful to him because she used to be an honors anthropology student with a minor in history, so he offers her a job. And if she agrees, he'll use what little magic he has left to bind her. And she says yes, so he pulls out a tooth, which turns out to be a giant dragon tooth, right out of his mouth. He turns the tooth into a pill, tosses it down the back of her throat like she's a cat, and then he leaves and time starts moving again. And I am caught up in this story. So I did go back and read a little bit more of it. I haven't finished the book. If I do, I will let you know in the comments below. Okay, now before we go on to book number 1 on today's list, I want to thank our supporters from Patreon, including Elizabeth Levin, who just recently joined our family. Thank you so much. All of us editors are volunteers at MetaStellar. So the money all goes to pay for original short fiction. So if you want to support writers of fantasy and science fiction, especially new writers who are just getting started in their careers, and it is a tough time to be a writer right now. I'm sure it comes as a surprise to all of you, but yeah, writing is a hard profession. Please support us via the Patreon. We'd really appreciate it. And since we're talking about supporting people, I have some books up on Amazon, and Emma has an editorial service, so she will edit your book for you. Oh, Emma, tell people what kind of editing you do.
Yeah, like what you were saying, I do book editing. I also do a little bit of beta reading here and there. So,
all right. Okay, let's go on to book number 1 in today's list. Snow White by C. Gockel, the first of 5 books in the Urban Magic and Folklore Romantic Fantasy series. Gockel is a USA Today best-selling author. The other books are $3 to $5 each, and they are, again, not in Kindle Unlimited. And again, this book is on our list for the 2nd week in a row. So people love this book. Emma, did you love this book?
yeah, like I honestly enjoyed it because I haven't read too many urban magic type books before. So like the premise of this was really interesting and it had a lot of cool concepts in it. So the beginning is also very engaging. It opens with Cherry. She's this young woman. She's seemingly being held hostage by 2 men on a bus. She's trying to convince them that she has magic because in this world there are people with magical powers. And she's wanting to say, hey, I'm just like you, please don't hurt me. They got a gun to her head, but suddenly a mysterious creature steps out in front of the bus and the men begin shooting at it because they're terrified of it. It then cuts back to Cherry earlier that morning. She's attempting to get some food from the grocery store. So her grandmother has just passed away fairly recently. She's struggling to cope with it because she was very close to her grandmother. It's revealed in sort of like exposition, but in a way that was really engaging. It's revealed that a mysterious force swept over the world years ago. It destroyed almost all modern technology. And now there are mythical creatures roaming the lands, and people possess all kinds of magic. So there are like sea creatures, there's fairies. The Fae actually regularly travel through this sleepy town that Cherry lives in. And then Jack Frost also exists, which I thought was interesting, especially the way that the author put a spin on Jack Frost. He sort of acts like the protector of the town, and he also was trapped by a curse from a queen who we'll get to find out about in a few seconds. But one of the shopkeepers mentions that it's likely this queen will now be able to see the town through her magic mirror. So she's been searching for more magical people and animals because she wants to use them in this great like mythical war going on in the South. Cherry hopes that Jack can keep her friends and herself safe as the Queen suddenly draws closer. Then it shifts to Jack's perspective, and like I was saying, the concept of Jack Frost in this is really interesting because he's trapped in a dream, and he's forced to use mirrors, different mirrors around different places. He can travel to each one individually, and that's how he talks to people in the real world. So it's technically he's not there, and he's sort of like compartmentalized in this space. It's like a dream space, but I thought that was really interesting. So he came across Cherry and her grandmother years ago, and like I was saying, it's after he had awoken from a curse that the Queen placed on him. So while wandering through the dream world, he's checking on the mirrors, and he realizes that the spell he's placed on the Queen and her mirror, in return for keeping the town safe, that is now weakening. So now the Queen likely knows where the town is, and she's going to show up to take all the people who have magic and use them in her war. So Cherry is going to have to strike a bargain to keep the town safe, and Jack's got to figure out how to stop this Queen. So I really like the premise of this story. Like I like the idea of all the magical creatures. I like the dream world. There are even like cool details interspersed throughout that weren't explained, but they were like kind of just dropped in there. Is like there was the vampire war that was like 100 years ago or something, and I thought that was really neat. So there were a few places I wasn't sure what was happening, and the pace was steady and prose was really good. I really enjoyed what I was reading. So, like I said, I haven't read too much of the genre, but I do hope to continue with this series, especially now that it's been free for longer than we expected.
All right. So I am going to go and edit this video. Wish me luck. And if you guys want a little bit more of MetaStellar while you're still here on YouTube, I suggest checking out the Gods and Monsters serialization. We have the interview with the author here and the first installment here. We've got more than 20 installments up already on our website and on our YouTube channel. Thanks everybody for coming. See you next Friday.
Bye.